Hello and welcome to today's edition of Route 664, The Road to Human Kindness. I'm Les Winston. I'm the national spokesperson for the Endow American Network Foundation and also the national spokesperson for a new program that the Endow American Network Foundation has started. It is called Endowment Engineering. It is a new profession that we are working on to perfect, to be able to present to the public so the public can use the social charity idea and grow their own endowment, their own personal income stream by doing something good for charity when they pass. That was the bargain that the United States government gave us in 1969 when they passed sections of the tax code that allowed us to make those kinds of bargains where we could have lower taxes while we're alive if we do something favorable for charity when we pass. Most people don't even know that that exists. They don't know about the section of the tax code 664. So our objective is to get it well known, and we're doing some things to do that. We've created a society of endowment engineers, which will be a professional society where people can get together and share ideas, also have continuing education, and to keep the profession sharp. The profession is all about creating endowment for individuals, and those endowments that get passed on to the community. It's a pretty big idea. We want to change things from 34 trillion in debt to 34 trillion in endowment. If we can do that, everybody can live in a better world, and that's why we're on this road to human kindness. It's difficult to get ideas out. It's difficult to get ideas known with passion into the public, to get the discontinuous innovation into the early majority, to use some of the terms that everybody knows from bell curves and how marketing works. But sometimes you need a guru, sometimes you need somebody who knows how to do it better than you do. And my guest today is James Bond. And James is the author of Brain Glue, which is all about how to make things happen, how to get that aha moment, that switch, the thing to occur that you want. Good morning. How are you, James?
Oh, thanks for having me, Les. I'm terrific. Thank you. And by the way, as you're saying that, I realize you have a theme movie, and it was my one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's Pay It Forward. Pay It
Okay.
Forward is one of the greatest movies of all time, and it shows you how, if you have any kind of success, and I'll talk about Brain Glue, so I'll show you how to get more success also. But it isn't just about that. If you have some success and you don't pay it forward, I remember George Eastman founded Eastman Kodak. He was one of the most famous. It was one. He was, I think, the richest man on the planet, and he
Hmm.
shot himself. And his note was, "My work is done." That's when you're focusing on me, 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 me. If you're trying to
Okay.
change the world and make a difference, your work will never be done. He
Yeah.
missed it. He missed the opportunity. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so fabulous to pay it forward, I think.
Well, that was we're trying to keep things up here, so we yeah, I don't want to. People should never end, and like I have a pyramid of confidence, which I think the everybody actually goes through the same thing where you have to have confidence over certain things to get to the next level, and confidence over money is the base, in my opinion, where people they know what they need to live on and they've got it and they're not worried about that. You can move upward and they go to having confidence over their time and then the relationships, and eventually get to spirituality. And when they get to the top, they get to their genius, and working at their genius is something they love doing 24 hours a day, never get tired of. And there's no reason why anybody would stop doing that. Are
Right.
you doing that?
Um, so I became very successful. I became very successful using Brain Glue and other tools. I consider one of America's leading behavioral management specialists, and I realized I wanted to give back. And so I do volunteer work for the U.S. Small Business Administration. I'll have audiences of 20 to 30 to 400 or 500 people at a time, and it's fantastic. I mean, and I'm doing it because, like, if we learn something and we don't share it with other people, if what's life all about? What's the purpose of our life? And I get we were in a grocery store, and I'm not doing it because I want people to go out of their way and say, "Oh, you're great," or anything else like that. I'm doing it because I want to help people and make a difference. I mean, and it's just the more we can do that, the better. But since this woman who's like 85 years old comes up to my wife and me in a grocery store and says, "Your husband helped me and my partner with a button business." She has these buttons that
Mhm.
she was selling, and I was showing her how to sell them online and come up with, use Brain Glue to make it more obvious what it is that she sells and how amazing it is. She had buttons from like all around the world. So really interesting stuff. But they were struggling. And I think the more we can help other people make a difference, the better. I mean, it was embarrassing, but it was kind of cool. My wife was like, "Oh, thank you." That was pretty neat. And this woman approaching her, but she was like, "Whoa." When I was young, I hated selling. I had an advertising agency in Montreal. I live in Southern California now. We've lived here for over 37 years. But I hated selling. I was in business with one of my brothers who I loved dearly, but not in business. And he would outsell me. He knew how to sell me better than I knew how to sell me with our advertising company. And I went to a Zig Ziglar conference, Zig Ziglar workshop. He was Zig Ziglar when he was alive. He was fabulous. And he said this thing that just changed my life. And it was, this is the most important thing about selling that you have to understand. Selling is nothing more than a transference of passion. If you're passionate about something, I don't have to teach you how to sell. I mean, there are little tools you can use, or certainly, BrainGlue helps for sure. But I don't have to teach you how to sell. If you saw a movie that you love, you're going to tell friends, you got to see this, man, it was so great, and everything else. It's a transference of passion. I think even when it comes to pay it forward, this concept is, get passionate about something. One of my daughters is very successful in real estate, and she does real estate and construction. So she'll sell a property, like a blank property, and then build it. Okay. But she was involved with a Make-A-Wish Foundation, and she sells that more than she sells construction. But people love her because she seems like somebody who's trying to pay it forward. She said, "Make-A-Wish, let me tell you what we did. You guys, you got to hear about this." And so it builds passion when you're involved in something that's really valuable. Obviously, it's great if you make a lot of money too, because you don't take it with you. There are tax benefits to it. That's what's really fabulous. So there's a real incentive to pay it forward, I think.
Yes. The education, the idea that we can educate people about the process so that they can use it when they need to, is the issue. I'm of the strong belief that if you know about something and then you choose not to do it, that's fine. But if you don't do it because you don't know about it, that's another story. Some things are difficult to get passionate about. People, for some reason, people don't get passionate about their own money. It's a very strange thing. People don't really understand that their money is valuable to them to have in the future, and they need to do something to pay it forward, both for themselves and for the community. And if they're able to learn that, that would be terrific. So tell me a little bit about BrainGlue. What's the name? BrainGlue.
So let me give you some examples of BrainGlue, then I'll tell you how it came about. Okay.
Sure.
I'm old enough to remember President John F. Kennedy saying, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." Right. It resonates. Okay.
Yes.
Malcolm X said, "We didn't, civil rights activists, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock landed on us." Okay. Yeah. He also said, "When you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything."
Okay.
I mean, there are just a lot of really great phrases. I love Warren Buffett. I worked for Warren Buffett's team when he started buying businesses. Warren Buffett said, "Only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked." Okay. Now, what's he saying? He's basically saying only when times get tough do you realize who's competent, who's really competent. But if he said that, you go, okay, fine. But he used a trigger word, naked, and he's, only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked. It's a metaphor. It's like, wow, that sticks to the bracket. I should listen to you. Hear what he said, I mean, it's really powerful. And so what we want is, I'll give you the story, but this is like, cross a line here. Hopefully I'm not crossing a line. But Paul Tran invented an electric razor for man's private areas.
Right.
Yippee. Okay. He wanted to come up with a name that would not offend people, but that would still explain and describe what the product does. He's thinking about it. He said, "It's just like a lawnmower. Why don't I call it the lawnmower?" Okay. He ended up changing the name of his company to Manscaped. We're landscaping a man with the lawnmower. Okay.
Good idea.
I never bought the product, but if I bought it, I wouldn't share it with friends. Let's start there, okay?
Yeah.
But what I would do is I could see myself calling a friend and saying, "Hey, guess what I just bought? What'd you buy?" "I bought the lawnmower." "Well, you need to mow your lawn?" "No, it's for shaving man's private areas." What?
But we
I can
coined
see
the
him.
phrase. I just want to run it by you. We have used the phrase, used an idea, which is 664 not war. We started that we
Fabulous.
started using that a long time ago. 664 not war, and really it was at a time when there was peace. And we kind of it slid by a little bit, but I really believe that that's what this is about. It's 664 not war. If we can, human kindness is generated by 664. It's a love of mankind. We even have a formula for the theory. It's that 664 equals E squared, where endowment is the E. We are endowing yourself, and you're also endowing the community, and that's a total act of love. That's the power of love. We kind of thought of that when we talked Einstein's theory of relativity, such a big concept, so destructive a force, but it's represented by E equals mc squared.
Right.
And really, the simpler the formula, the better. But what the endowment engineer does is they're able to use that formula to help people create their own endowment by giving them a blueprint that they can take to their advisors, so their advisors can help them do that. That way, everybody gets educated about the product.
Well,
So,
you want people to remember it, though. I think that's one of the problems. So I had this guy who approached me, named Thomas Jacob, and he started something called a Life Scholar Project. And I said, "So what's that?" He said, "I've made some money. I want to help other kids and all that stuff." It took him 20 minutes to explain what he does for me to finally understand. Oh, that's what you do. So I came up with a slogan for him. Okay, and part of it is a hook. And so
right,
the slogan is, I help arrested I help arrested kids become invested adults, employed, deployed, and enjoyed. Say hello to my little friends. Okay. And say hello to my little friends is thing.
okay.
And I said,
Tony
you have to,
Montana.
well, yeah, but you have to understand that people are so bombarded. We're so bombarded with knowledge and
Yeah,
information.
we are. I
You have
agree.
a moment to grab their attention in such a way that people understand what you're offering or what you're doing. He helps kids who are arrested get jobs, basically, okay, and get careers and their life changes. You have, when I ask you, like, what is that? What do you do? You have a moment to make to explain it. And then after that, our mind is occupied with all these other things. Did I forget to, close the windows of my car? Is it raining outside? Is my wife really getting mad at me? Am I going through a divorce? I mean, did we just win a client or lose a client? How are we going to
Yes.
deal with it? And
Yeah.
then you're talking to me. So I'm listening. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure really interested, but thanks anyway. Why are we interested? Because it didn't wake up the brain. They have Blue Emu. Okay. It's
Yeah.
anti for arthritis cream. Okay.
Right.
And I
Right.
saw Johnny Bench, I think it was, who's a famous baseball player, who's doing the ad. And I have the TV on next to me while I'm doing work. I'm not listening to it, but he goes, Blue Emu, it works fast and you won't stink. What did he just say? What? And you won't stink? From that point forward, he had my attention. I was
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah.
What the heck? Blue Emu. Oh, okay, wow. But it's just, we need to wake up the brain so people go like, oh, you're doing that? Whoa, that's really great. And it's just, there's just phrases, that really work. Zig Ziglar had a famous phrase. He said, you need a checkup. You want a better life? You need a checkup from the neck up to avoid stinking thinking that causes hardening of the attitudes. Okay.
That's
And
great stuff.
it
That's great,
makes him
Mike.
famous.
Hold on. Yeah, we're gonna take a break.
Okay.
My guest is James Bond. What a great name. And the author of Brain Glue, and we're talking about brain glue. We're talking about what sticks in your mind that makes you think about that. We'll be right back.
Hey folks, it's Charity here. Philanthropy meets financial gains in the inspiring space of donor advised funds. Tax code 664 provides a perfect opportunity to both reduce taxable income and make charitable contributions through real estate donations. For donors, liquidating difficult to sell property while providing valuable assistance to nonprofits is made easier using this tax code. Heirs can benefit as well. So whether you're trying to save money or help your favorite organization aid its mission statement, look no further than giving creatively under tax code 664 for beneficial results all around.
And we're back. My guest is James Bond. James is an author well known in the world of mind-blowing mind-blowing thinking. We certainly appreciate you joining us today on Route 664, the Road to Human Kindness, and talking about this. This is fascinating to me that you I it's like an aha. You go, gee, that's really brilliant, and it's not that complicated. How do you get? Wait, so you got to be able to think along those lines. That's I'll try one on you. My thought process was I want to end poverty, disease, and protect the earth,
Mhm.
and this is the method to do that.
Right.
So I'm not sure where do you go to make that more interesting, and how do you get the sizzle into that steak? I'm asking you for advice.
Well,
So you've got
I,
you've got brain glue on your side. I'm not quite there yet.
so one of the things you look at is the words. I'll give you three ways that I describe mine, okay? And then you understand part of it because you do rhyme and rhyme works, okay? I'll give you a few examples of rhyme because we forget how powerful this is. If the glove doesn't fit, you have to acquit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Attorney Johnny Cochran got O.J. Simpson off from an almost certain guilty verdict in a murder trial by using that phrase. And of course, O.J. exaggerated that the gloves didn't fit him.
Yeah.
But there were two of the jurors after the trial who were being interviewed, and one of them responded while the other one was nodding her head in agreement. And the journalist said, with all that evidence against O.J., why'd you let him go free? And she looked confidently and said, we knew if the glove don't fit, you must acquit. The glove didn't fit. We had to acquit. Power of rhyme. Okay, so Jack and Jill went up the
Hill.
Okay, I bet everybody knows that. Okay, when was
Yep.
the last time you heard that? I mean, I heard it like more than 50 years ago. I could be on my deathbed. Hey, James, Jack and Joe went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. I mean, we remember it because it sticks to the brain. Rhyme sticks to the brain.
Yeah.
So I love the song. I was from the Eagles. I was standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona. Such a fine sight to see. It's a girl, my lord, in a flatbed Ford, slowing down to take a look at me. They didn't try to do this, but that turned Winslow, Arizona into people started visiting it like crazy. It almost tripled their tourism. Yeah. So what they did in Winslow, Arizona is they created a statue of a guy leaning on a post with a guitar and on a lamppost, and it says standing on the corner, and behind it there's a big sign that says Winslow, Arizona, and all the people who are. I have this woman who lives in Arizona. She says, "Have you ever seen Winslow? It's a hole in the wall. It's
Yeah,
nothing."
right.
But people stop there because they want to photograph of themselves because
So
everybody knows that
did
song.
Colonel Parker come up with Elvis the Pelvis?
Yeah, he would. Yes, he did, and he was fabulous because he had. So yeah, so there are a lot of tools. There's Andrew Loog Oldham. Okay, a lot of people don't know this guy, but he made the Rolling Stones famous. How did he make the Rolling Stones famous? He made them the alternative to the Beatles. Okay, he said the Beatles are all good-looking guys with suits and everything else. You guys have to wear totally different clothes. Do not wear the same clothes. We're going to be totally different. You guys are going to be the bad boys. They're the good boys. Okay. And Mick Jagger said, no, this changed us completely and focused us on, the kind of music we want and everything else. You may or may not like the Rolling Stones, but they became massively successful because it was clear what they were offering and we're the alternative to the Beatles. Okay. And so when we understand how the brain works, so here's how I sell brain glue. Okay. I started with rhyme. I said, so it helps your pitch. Okay. What rhymes with pitch? Rich. Oh, okay. And I came up with a slogan: switch your pitch if you want to get rich. Okay. So that kind of works. Okay. As time went on, I came up with a more sophisticated one. I said, we're trying to create desire in people. Okay. So what rhymes with desire? Buyer, fire. Okay. Brain glue shows you how to light the fire of desire in your buyer. Okay. Because it's all about lighting the fire of desire in your buyer. And so I've got a quote. So then I knew I wanted to have a metaphor, like John Gray, who he wrote a book called Men, Women, and Relationships. And he was telling me, people love this book. They said it's the best relationship book ever, but almost nobody was buying it. But when people would buy it and they'd look through it, they go, oh, and they'd read it and they say, this is changing our relationship. And it frustrated him. So he changed the name. There's a whole story of how he changed the name, but He changed the name to Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and then tweaked the content just a little so that he referred to it throughout the book. But it's the same book. Guess what happened? Almost overnight, 500,000 copies got sold, then 1 million and 2 million. In my book, I have a mistake because I say he sold 10 million copies. Well, I know Steve Harrison, who helped him with marketing, and said, no, you're not, that's not what he did. I said, Steve, I did research. He says, no, we're over 50 million copies sold now. He went from 20,000 to 50 million because he changed the title. And that's why we have to understand, you know, I mean, it's a metaphor. So I used a metaphor for mine. It took a while, you know, but it was, so
Switch
you
the
leave
pitch
your
to
home.
get rich.
Well, yeah, but if you leave your home and you're driving down the street, you're not going to look at, you maybe have homes or apartments, whatever is down the street from your home. You're not going to look at everyone and go, oh, look at that, look at that, look at that. You've seen them every day. You get in your car and you ignore them as you drive past them, right? But suddenly you get in your car and you drive, and 2 houses down, there are flames coming out of the guy's window. Your attention is, does he know it? Should I call 911? Is he going to burn down my house? You know,
Right.
it wakes up your brain. And that's what brain glue is about, is waking up the brain. It puts flames out of your message or out of your product name. You know, a mom and her son in Utah who have no business experience, 0 business experience. And in less than 2 years, they went from 0 to $100 million of sales. $100 million of sales. What did they do? Well, they watch Shark Tank, so they love Shark Tank and the idea of maybe we should create a business instead of just being employed. And so the mom had a problem, and she went to the bathroom. You know, she had difficulty, whatever it was, constipation or whatever. And so the doctor said, you need to raise your feet about 6 to 8 inches off the ground when you're on a toilet. Okay, I don't want to get too much into it, but he said it changes the shape of your body and actually makes it easier to go to the bathroom.
Right.
Okay, so they did that, and it really helped. And they said, why don't we find a manufacturer to make the product for us? Okay, cool. And then let's see if we can sell it. So first they were going to call it the toilet stool, but that's not a very good name, the toilet stool. Hey, buy the toilet stool. It's like, what? Okay. My wife says maybe they should have called it the stool, but I'm not sure that would work either. But she was thinking toilet. What's another name for toilet? Potty. Okay, huh? And I'm kind of squatty potty. Let's call it the squatty potty. Sales explode. They couldn't believe it. Like they couldn't get enough product. People were buying. They went to $100 million in less than 2 years. And then when they finally got out the Shark Tank, almost all the investors wanted to invest. Why? Because the name resonates. It makes it obvious what it is, the product, but it also, the name resonates and sticks to the brain. You know, and that's why, I mean, every time you're going to see lawnmower now, you're going to think of, I mean, it sticks to the brain. And what you want is you want a message that sticks to the brain. And when you have a message that sticks to the brain, 2 things happen. First is it becomes, if they're not ready to say yes now, they'll remember you. Okay.
So isn't the jingles that are most successful the ones that people remember, and that's the similar thing. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So if you can combine the idea, the functioning thought of the idea with something that's going to be the hook, whether it's a jingle or just a rhyme, that's what works.
Or a phrase that you're saying to try to make yourself, you know, the people are going to remember what your message is. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, like we didn't land on Plymouth Rock, the rock landed on us. I mean, these are really powerful. But I love this. Well, two quick stories. One is, so what does billionaire Richard Branson, Madonna, and olive oil have in common?
I have no idea.
Virgin. Virgin olive oil. Madonna's like a virgin, touched by the very. I'm not going to have
Branson
and Richard Branson. Richard Branson was a young kid who dropped out of high school. He had no money, but he borrowed some money from his dad, and he started a magazine for musicians. Okay, talking about musicians, and then he decided he was going to start a record company because he had a little bit of money, and he had to come up with a name. So he came up with the name Virgin Records. He got people like the Rolling Stones and others to come. I mean, Virgin Records? What? Huh? You know, it got attention. Now he's got Virgin Airlines. He trademarked all these different Virgin names of companies. But it's the power of a trigger word.
The power of one word. Yeah.
It's amazing. Just one word helped this guy become a billionaire.
How did Marilyn Monroe do it?
Marilyn Monroe. So Marilyn Monroe was originally named Norma Jean
Jean.
Mortensen, I think was her last
Yeah.
name. Okay.
Right.
And her manager said, Norma Jean isn't a good name for a model. You should come up with like Marilyn would be a good name. Okay, Marilyn. And her mom's maiden name was Monroe. So she went Marilyn Monroe. Now that's alliteration, repetition of sound. Marilyn Monroe. Like Coca-Cola, Best Buy, PayPal, TikTok. You think if TikTok would be as successful if they called it the Chinese social media platform? Hey, come join the Chinese. No, TikTok. I talked to these teenagers, and I said, TikTok's owned by the Chinese government, right? They said, no, it isn't. I said, yeah, you don't even understand that that's why it's called TikTok. They don't want people to know.
Yeah.
But so Marilyn Monroe had the name Marilyn Monroe. Then she loved Jean Harlow, who was a famous actress in the early days, and Jean Harlow had platinum blonde hair. Okay, so she went to the same hairdresser as Jean Harlow and got her hair colored the same color. Okay. So now she's Marilyn Monroe with platinum blonde hair, and she has good looking, but she has a beauty mark on her left cheek, and so she covered it up with makeup. One day she's looking at Jean Harlow, at photographs of Jean Harlow, and she goes, "Wait a second! In some photographs, Jean Harlow has a beauty mark on her cheek, and in some it's on her chin."
Yeah.
And then she goes, "Wait! I bet she doesn't even have a beauty mark. I bet she's putting a dot on her face to bring attention to herself." So Marilyn, instead of covering it up with makeup, she darkened the beauty mark and believed that became a big part of why she became successful. So Cindy Crawford is the supermodel, okay?
Yeah.
And when she was young, she has a beauty mark above her left lip.
Right.
And she begged her mom, please take me to the doctor and get it removed. She says in her biography, I am so glad my mom didn't get it removed. I believe that beauty mark is the reason I became a supermodel. She became the first mega supermodel. Yeah. Okay. And it's because, think about famous people. Mike Tyson, he's got a tattoo on one side of his face.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, the Phantom of the Opera,
Yeah, exactly.
So we're coming up to the end of the show. I just wanted to thank you for a very enjoyable interview, James. It's been a pleasure, truly.
Oh, thank you so much.
To have you on Route 664, the Road to Human Kindness. And we certainly invite everybody to buy your book, Brain Glue. Is it available on Amazon or?
Yes, it's available on Amazon. If you go to yesbrainglue.com, it actually has details and shows you a lot of the insights of what's in Brain Glue. But yeah, I mean, if you want to pay it forward,
let's try and do this again sometime real soon. It's very interesting.
Thank you very much, Les.
Very interesting conversation. Thank you for joining us today on Route 664, the Road to Human Kindness. Make sure you get our radio app and tune into the radio station. It plays 24/7, and you can hear these interviews, these wonderful folks that we talk to on a regular basis, who have a lot of information to share that's valuable, and get to listen to some really great music. And we'll be with you again, same time, same station next week. Have a great week.
We've got best-selling authors.
You are going to start to uncover all the layers that are covering your genius.
And some of the world's top leadership experts.
We have structured a mastermind program that is very unusual, and it is very powerful.
Robin Sharma at noon.
Your creativity will soar, your productivity will be epic, your impact will be legendary, you will be the best in the business, and you will not only achieve remarkable things, but you're going to feel sunsets. You'll feel a connection to people. You'll feel for what's going on in the world, and that will make you a world changer in your own unique way.
Robin Sharma at noon at 4 p.m.
It's a
Blaine Bartlett
exploration of what it takes to be a highly effective leader in today's fast-changing environment.
Best-selling author, executive, and leadership coach.
And if you've been liking what you've been listening to on these Soul of Business podcasts, how does one become a leader that can keep connection to the soul of business?
Blaine Bartlett at 4 p.m.
Look forward to seeing you there.
At Route664.org. This is Route 664 Radio.
Hey, James, do you have a favorite happy song?
Happy song?
What song makes you happy? Happy. You know what happy means? Happy? Come on, James.
Well, there are lots of songs. I love September and what do you call it there's just so many great songs.
Earth, Wind, and Fire?
Yep, that's right.
All right.
They're awesome.
I'll take it.